On housing, home construction shooting up, an unexpected 3% last month. That's the biggest jump we've seen in 8 months. So is this the turnaround we've been waiting for, or just a sucker punch? Real estate investor Dani Babb says that this is a turnaround. Peter Schiff disagrees. He's the president of Euro Pacific Capital. So Danielle, you're intrigued by what we're hearing.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because it's following a pattern that I sort of expected it to follow, and that is that the majority of this increase was in the multifamily sector. Investors want multifamily homes because they cash flow, which means investors may actually be increasing demand in the housing market, and residential buyers typically follow afterwards. So this is a very positive sign to me that perhaps we're starting to see a floor in pricing. But
Peter, that's your very reason why the number stinks, right?
Well, first of all, once again, here we are with somebody else calling a bottom in the housing market. I wonder when this is going to end. But, you know, the last thing we need is more houses. But, of course, these multifamily homes are probably necessary to house all the people who are walking away from their mortgages on single-family homes. You know, the big news today came out of Freddie Mac. I mean, this shows that we're just kicking into second gear now in the housing crisis, because this proves what I've been saying all along, that this is not just a subprime problem. This is a problem with prime mortgages. We should step back,
Peter. We should, with Freddie Mac's case, the potential of cutting its dividend, the stock swooning, it's a quasi-government private agency, a mortgage lender. Its troubles, you think, echo something else, right?
Yes, that is the real big news of the day, and people should be looking at that as an ominous sign that we're just getting started here. This is a much bigger crisis than most people believe. It's not subprime. It's the entire mortgage market.
What do you make of that, Danielle? This is bigger than just subprime.
I do think it's bigger than subprime, but I do think that these numbers are indicative of possibly having some sort of floor. I don't think any of us who are analysts are trying to put a floor in this. I'm sorry, but to state that this is the bottom of the housing market. I don't think anybody can possibly predict the bottom. But I do think that we can look for signs on both sides of the fence. This particular number just happens to indicate that perhaps we're starting to see something rebound. The fact is, these builders are not going to build something if people won't buy them. Well, people are buying these multifamily properties.
That's not true. Builders were building for years when it was obvious that there was going to be a bursting of the housing bubble. These numbers are meaningless.
For the last 5 years. No, that's not true. For the last 5 years, we've had the best housing boom for the last 5 years that we've had in the history of housing.
Look at all the home builders today. Almost every home building stock made a new 52-week low. These stocks are down 80-90%. Many of them are headed for bankruptcy. These builders overbuilt. They misread the market. These numbers mean nothing. We're still closer to the top in the housing market than the bottom. We've got a long way to drop. Prices are going to fall substantially, particularly in California, in Florida, in the Northeast.
All right, how much further drop, Peter?
We're going to wipe out all the gains that took place from 1999 till the peak, and I think housing prices in the bubble states are going to be below where they were at the beginning of the decade.
Danielle?
No, I completely disagree. I think we've got maybe 5% more to go in some hot foreclosure areas, but for the most part, I think we're going to see prices start to stabilize in the spring. We're going to see buyers come back into the market as the credit market loosens up.
Well, Danielle, is part of your trouble just, I know you're in real estate, that it hasn't happened yet, that it seems to be dragging on longer than we originally thought?
No, I'm not really troubled by it. A lot of us kind of expected it. When you have such an incredible boom as we had in the 2000s, that there's some expectation that it's going to take a little longer to work everything out.
But that's the problem. It was a phony boom. The boom was created by these lax lending standards, by temporarily low adjustable rate mortgages, by no down payments, by zero doc loans, by subprime. It was a phony boom, and now it's burst.
All right, Danielle and Peter.
Boom. The demand was there.
It was artificial demand.
Guys, we'll see what happens. Argue during the break. Talk amongst yourselves. Guys, thank you. Well, I want you to meet the boss who is using GPS to track down